Okay, what we're looking at here is the argument sources for collection due process hearing requests. Now, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put in your collection due process hearing request old, tired, worn out arguments that they've already heard a whole bunch of times, that they've already ruled were frivolous a whole bunch of times. And look what I got right here, straight from the IRS themselves, what they call, let's see, where'd it go? Nope, that's not it. All right, right here. IRS on frivolous due process hearing arguments. Okay, so there's the stuff that they're going to tell you in advance. Don't bring this because we'll just say it's frivolous. We'll steamroll right over you, and then when you end up in the courts, then the courts will sanction you, and it's going downhill from there. Now look what's right above this. So you want to address this issue. You want to know in advance what they've called frivolous, so that you don't put those in your collection due process hearing request. Then right here, IRS Chief Counsel on collection due process hearings, another source of what's going on inside the IRS. And then there may have been an act, and you get to find this, but right inside this right here are some things where it says that they raised the what they could hit you for making frivolous arguments up to $5,000, and it tells you the name of the act in there, so you get to track that down if you want to know what that is. But how about if we just not do anything frivolous to start off with? Okay, and then right here in this file, I have put in Chris Hansen of Fam Guardian website fame. I put in his frivolous tax rebuts because, you know what? He doesn't believe a word they say, and not only does he not believe it, but he's also applied his awesome brain power to showing them that all that was an attempt to keep you from getting relief. And so what you can do is go here to find out the rebuttals for what they say are the frivolous arguments. Now let's look at some more things. Inside this folder is my research on silence equals acquiescence. I found out that if you send them, your argument, you say I'm not a taxpayer, whatever it is you said to them, and then they never respond back, I found in here where their silence equals acquiescence, and that principle applies to the government. I've got a U.S. Supreme Court decision that says it applies to the government. So what that means is that if you've been sending them stuff, then put it in your collection due process hearing request as exhibits, addendums, whatever. You put that with it, and then you say as part of your argument was, I made this argument, you were silent to it, therefore you acquiesced, and here's the case law that says that applies to you. Section 1203 of the Reform and Restoration Act, if they don't give you all your constitutional rights, including full due process is defined as what is laid out in the statute. In other words, this section 6330 and 6320 are describing what the due process is. Well, if your hearing officer doesn't give you full due process, then go after her job. And that's what this says here. Section 1203 says that if they don't follow the manual, if they don't give you your constitutional rights, which would include due process of law, then they can be fired. And here are my Supreme Court notes. These are things that the U.S. Supreme Court said that you may be able to use in your collection due process hearing. And then let's see here. Here's the other Christopher Hansen from Las Vegas on taxes. He's got this wonderful discussion inside this file, and you may want to use some of his arguments in your collection due process hearing request. That's why that's there. Here's somebody recounts a part of the portion of the congressional record that they didn't think it was right to tax a man's wages. Here's Tommy Cryer. He's saying the same thing. He's saying, hey, back in 1940, they used to exempt wages from the taxes. Also, you have a right to work. They can't tax your right. And he put his all into this. Tommy Cryer's an attorney, and his butt was on the line. He was going to lose his right to practice law and possibly be convicted of willful failure to file. And he wrote this memorandum, and he put all his brain power and research into it with the help of the people from Save a Patriot. and also Larry Beecraft, who he had, representing him in his case, which he won. Here's Tommy Crier's motion to dismiss. The Hooven and Allison EVOT case. It says there's 3 United States. Well, what would happen if you said, look, I got this case that says there's 3 United States. Which United States are you saying I'm a citizen of? And what evidence do you have in the record to support your assertion? They only have the right to tax in Washington, D.C., Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, according to the statute. And so it'll be interesting to hear how they respond to that. Here is some information that establishes income taxes and excise tax. You might put this in and then ask the question, what privilege would you say that what taxable privilege are you saying that I'm involved in? Okay, let's see here. Here, look at this one. This is the winning brief from the Pollock case. They went there and they said, look, this tax on income is not right. And they won the case. That's back in 1895. But this Pollock brief is full of wonderful authority about what the founding fathers intended when they put in the provisions on taxation in the Constitution. And let's see here. Here's Supreme Court on deadlines. That might be useful if you're going to collection due process hearing over a lien, because if they missed their 5-day deadline, you want to know about that case. Here's these 2 cases, Zopa on sanctions. It just shows what happens if you end up in court and you make frivolous arguments, then you may end up having to pay a bunch of money. Did you know that you probably never received anything that was taxable as it is? And this guy here, Viva Spartacus, in this file, he talks about the fact that Federal Reserve notes are not taxable. And then the purpose of this Wallace challenge of authority is that challenge of authority. It just basically challenges the authority of the IRS, and there's some really good authority in there, in that particular file. So that's the rundown on why this is here. You get to go through and read it and decide what you want, copy and paste it into your collection due process hearing request, and avoid frivolous arguments.